morning or good afternoon, depending on your time zone. I'm Rob McIsaac from the IT Navarica Group. Thanks very much for joining us for today's webinar, which is focused on the future of cloud in computing services for insurance. I'm joined today by colleagues from across the country, actually, and let me ask John Ketty if he would introduce himself, I believe, from the great state of Kansas. John, how are things in the Midwest?
Just fine. So good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm just outside of Kansas City and looking forward to this conversation very much.
Excellent. And to my north, up in New Hampshire, I believe, is Martin Higgins. So Martin, how are things up in New England today?
Doing well. Thanks, Rob. So looking forward to the conversation. It's sunny outside, which is nice this time of year. We get a very short summer, so we're enjoying it while we can.
Excellent. Well, I was born in Syracuse, New York. We used to say the summer up there was great all 3 days, so I can appreciate the weather. I'm coming to you from Research Triangle Park here in North Carolina, where it actually is the second or third day, I've lost track, of a heat wave that some in the Midwest and the Southwest have experienced. So new icons are appearing in my Microsoft Office screen. I didn't know there was a heat wave icon. I've got it. That's sort of the way the day is going. But I see we're just about assembled as an audience, and so I appreciate everybody joining today. This, as I said, is one of our virtual town hall meetings for our Research Council member carriers. Today, we are going to be focused on cloud computing, and it has all manner of fascinating implications for the insurance industry, and we see a variety of different things that are playing out as adoption increases in different lines of business. And John, Martin, and I will have a chance to review that as we go through today's session. This slide just gives a little bit of background on the IT Navarica Group. Again, we appreciate everybody joining today. A couple of things about today's session. We have carefully curated the group so that everybody who's involved today is from a carrier. There are no vendor participants in the session. We really would like this to be as interactive as possible. And so we've set it up so that you can actually type questions into the panel, which is on the right-hand side of the GoToWebinar session. And John, Martin, and I will get those questions on our end, and then we can work them into the dialogue as we go forward. It's also possible, if you'd like, for you to introduce your voice into the conversation. So if you just raise your virtual hand, we can bring you into the dialogue and produce your questions into the conversation that way. The other thing I would say is that today's session is being recorded, so that if you would like to share it later with other members of your team, by all means, feel free. We will also send a copy of today's materials out at the end of the session. So once again, you should feel free to share them as much as you would like internally. And in some cases, carriers would like us to become part of a dialogue they may be having with internal teams, and Martin, John, and I are more than happy to do that. So as we go through the session today, if there are things that you would like to have us bring into a dialogue, potentially a staff meeting or a lunch and learn session, we are more than happy to do that and make it accessible to the rest of your team. This gives you the general agenda for today. We're going to try and avoid doing death by PowerPoint, one of my very favorite things to avoid. So we're going to rip through these slides fairly quickly so that we can get into some dialogue that will include questions you ask, as well as some things that are on our mind. John, Martin, and I will take turns flipping through these slides to bring the content to life. And of course, we may ask questions of each other as we go along. So let me go ahead and get started. Share a little bit about some current adoption and plans that carriers have based on study work that we've done recently with carriers across the Research Council. And of course, this is going to reflect companies that are both in the property and casualty world, and as I'm fond of saying, the not property and casualty world, which would include life, annuities, benefits, wealth management, and other parts of the insurance ecosystem.